The Western press is already counting down the days until the US invasion of Iran begins. Donald Trump's 10 to 15-day deadline, which he set back on February 19th for the Iranian regime to abandon its uranium enrichment program, is about to expire. In anticipation of an American attack, Israel's security agencies and emergency services have been placed on the highest level of defense readiness. The Israeli press writes that if Iran does not make concessions during today's negotiations in Geneva, a US invasion will be inevitable.
The chances that the US will not attack are decreasing with every passing hour. The question now is when the first attack will happen, what it will look like, and how large-scale it will be.
Israel, the US, and other countries have long accused Iran of planning to create nuclear weapons under the guise of developing a so-called peaceful atomic program with the support of Russia. According to the head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, Iran has 440 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, and if it is further enriched to 90%, this would be enough to create 10 nuclear bombs. However, the destruction of Iran's nuclear capabilities is not Trump's only goal. For 47 years now, Iran has been ruled by an openly anti-American, radical Islamist regime of the Ayatollahs, which from the very beginning declared a course of confrontation with the main US ally in the Middle East, Israel, and with all countries that support America. After the latest US strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, Operation Midnight Hammer, as well as their sanctions pressure, an economic crisis began in the country, which led to anti-government protests. During his annual address to Congress, Trump emphasized that the Iranian regime had killed tens of thousands of people during the protests that had been ongoing since the end of last year.
And just in the past few months of protests, they have killed, it seems, at least 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hanged them. We prevented them from hanging others through serious threats. But these are terrible people. They have already developed missiles capable of threatening Europe and our bases abroad, and they are working on creating missiles that will soon be able to reach the United States of America.
According to CNN, the leadership of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, whose activities are aimed at organizing terrorist attacks abroad and suppressing internal protests, will become one of the main targets if the United States decides to launch an attack on Iran.
After Operation Midnight Hammer last summer, we warned them that any further attempts to restore their weapons program, particularly nuclear weapons, would be unacceptable. However, they continue to do so. They are starting everything over again. We destroyed everything, and yet they want to start all over again. And now they are once again pursuing their dangerous goals. We are negotiating with them. They want to make a deal. But we still haven't heard the crucial words. We will never have nuclear weapons.
The United States has already moved 2 carrier groups closer to Iran, including the latest and most technologically advanced aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford. 3 days ago, it was spotted off the coast of Crete. In total, there are at least 150 American aircraft and about 40,000 military personnel stationed at bases in Europe and the Middle East. This is evidenced by flight tracking data and satellite images analyzed by the Washington Post.
The current presence of American armed forces in the region is one of the largest in 2 decades since the US war in Iraq in 2003. The buildup of forces is taking place after President Trump threatened to attack Iran if an agreement to limit Iran's nuclear program is not reached. Although he did not specify the purpose of such an attack, Iranian officials stated that an agreement is possible, but reaching it will take time.
Meanwhile, Russia and China are preparing to supply Tehran with weapons to repel a potential American invasion, according to the Western press. A few days ago, Iran concluded a secret agreement with Russia worth 500 million euros to purchase thousands of portable missile systems, according to the Financial Times. Recently, Russia and Iran conducted joint naval exercises. Members of the State Duma are already offering officials of the Iranian regime, including the spiritual leader Ayatollah Khamenei, asylum in Russia, while propagandists are constantly claiming that the United States is violating international law by imposing its rules on sovereign Iran. At the same time, they conveniently forget to mention how the Kremlin uses threats to dictate its terms to former Soviet republics. In turn, Reuters reports that China may sell Iran supersonic anti-ship missiles amid the deployment of the American fleet in the Middle East.
These supersonic missiles have a range of about 290 kilometers and are designed to evade ship defenses thanks to their low and fast flight. Their deployment will significantly enhance Iran's strike capabilities and pose a threat to the US Navy in the region.
For Trump, a swift victory over Iran could become a trump card ahead of the midterm congressional elections this November, following a significant drop in his approval ratings. However, the president's advisors say that the scenario of an instant success in Venezuela may not be repeated, and there is a risk of the US being drawn into a prolonged regional war in the Middle East. Oleksandr Muzichuk, Podrobnosti, Inter TV Channel, Marathon, United News.